하루간 가르다闇を蹴散らして Dream of makeup Dream on Dream on Dream when we smoking love Dream on Venus
There's a pretty funny story behind why I'm reviewing Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution. About 12 months ago when I started this channel, I was shown how to apply for keys through certain outlets, and I saw Neptunia Game Maker and I put it on my wish list. Admittedly, I thought it was like RPG Maker, and I thought I'd be able to create my own games in a cool 3D engine. And now that I have the game to review, I was certainly wrong with my own silly assumptions about what the game was. And even though it's about making video games in a sense, it's done in an absolutely bonkers way. What's it like? Rev up the motorbike, prepare to fight bugs, and staff your dev team as we review Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution on the Nintendo Switch. Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution tells a wild story about you, Neptunia, and a team of peppy staff that form a party to battle it out with other game makers for sales and shipping domination. It's a largely nonsense story, and I did find myself skipping a lot of the dialogue later on in the game as I just wanted to get through it. But there are some humorous moments with fourth wall breaking, which is sometimes funny but also sometimes lacks self-awareness by criticizing the very tropes and themes that feature heavily in the game. There's also some thinly veiled pop culture references like hiring Parappa the Rapper and Mario clones to help develop your game, which were a good little nod to iconic characters. But outside of this, the main characters are whiny and insecure and just really don't have much going on for them. Gameplay can be really split into two separate sections, the dungeons and development. You navigate dungeons to open up shipping areas for your game, and these areas help enhance your sales of games you develop. They're navigated in a third-person view with monsters roaming about which you can try to avoid or fight. Combat is well implemented, allowing you to move around a circular area, chaining attacks and using special abilities to gain XP and levels. It's quite satisfying to link combat chains together by doing a certain amount of damage on hits before switching to your next character, which then subsequently piles on the damage. You can also unlock Ultimate Mode, which makes your characters have stronger attacks and resilience, but for some reason it puts your characters in their underwear. And I've really never played any other Neptunia games, so I'm not really sure if this is a reference to something else in the series, but I already found the gratuitous over-sexualization of these characters, which look like they belong in a high school, rather off-putting. The overall difficulty of combat swings wildly too, with some random mobs being more difficult to defeat than rival game maker bosses that you have to face at the end of the dungeons. You can also unlock the ability to navigate these dungeon sections on your motorbike, which may seem fast and fun, but it's actually clumsily implemented and awkward, and sometimes it's just easier to navigate on foot. There are puzzles as well, which mainly turn out to be frustrating and not very enjoyable. And early on in the game, there was a task to push a minecart back and forth, filling it with different coloured gems to open different gates, and it was just really uninteresting and made even more frustratingly so by constantly having to run into enemies, thus dragging things out into another unwanted grind of a dungeon and a fight.
We can use this, right?
The second part of the gameplay is the plaza and game development, which needed a bit more time to cook in my opinion. You develop games initially in the plaza, which you can decorate with items that boost game stats, and you can populate it with developers as well, which you unlock as you progress by answering their emails. The issue is that the game dev is meant to be the integral mechanic and the most interesting aspect of the game, but it's executed in a way that makes it rather boring, and you just have to grind repetitive dungeons to unlock new things. Development of games suddenly relegates this whole section of gameplay to an uninteresting menu option where you just select some devs, pick a genre and style, and then wait for the allocated real time for the game to be released, which gives you more CP to rinse and repeat. Once a game is complete, you also get an equipable disc that you can use to buff your team, offering different effects depending on the game quality and makeup. Since you can just spam game dev, it loses its excitement very quickly, and I just wish they delved a little deeper into this mode. Graphically, the game does look good with high resolution character art and bright and colourful locales. The environment design is interesting enough, and the variations also keep it interesting. There are a few performance issues, mainly a pause before loading into a fight, and also finishing a fight. And when I say the pause, I mean it actually halts to a loading screen to enter combat. There are also performance hitches on launch, but nothing too bad to take away from the game. I also did see a lot of stutter during combat phase as well, but I'm sure these will be patched post-launch. For my vision impaired anime game developers, there are no accessibility options, so further research may be required to see if Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution is for you. The majority of the game features higher contrasting and brighter colours, but combat can have a lot going on at times. The asking price is fairly steep, sitting at $75 Australian for the standard edition and $100 for the digital deluxe version. If you're a collector of Neptunia games or a fan of the series, this might not be an issue, but newcomers might be best to wait for a sale. All in all, Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution is an okay package with a ridiculous premise and decent gameplay. Its biggest mistake is making the core theme of the game the weakest point, sidelining game development as a mini-game of chance, and focusing largely on uninteresting dungeon crawling with a repetitive grind. The dialogue can be cringeworthy at times, but also has moments of good humour and self-awareness, as well as pop culture references and nods to other game series. Fans of the Neptunia series will most likely have a good time with Neptunia Game Maker, but newcomers may want to look elsewhere for an RPG game developing adventure. So, what's it like? Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution is like the Tales series, crossed with game dev story. I award it a 58 out of 100. In the interest of full disclosure, a review copy was provided by the publisher, but this does not affect my score. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best way you can support me is to like and subscribe and continue watching my content if you enjoy it. But if you do want to go that bit extra, you can buy me a coffee or join our Patreon, which shows you behind the scenes of this channel. Thanks again.